Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today I'm sitting down with Hayden and Gavin Graham, the Graham brothers in real estate. And it's so exciting to be kind of sitting down, having some conversations, talking about this fun journey into entrepreneurship, into business, into learning marketing and sales and all the different things that come along with, this crazy concept of business. So, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time for being here. I'm excited to kind of dive in. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us the 10,000 foot view of your backgrounds, and tell us about a little bit about what you're up to.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us. First off, this is an awesome opportunity. Love your work, and what you guys are doing for businesses and communities around Austin and Central Texas. But I'm Hayden Graham, born and raised Austin, Texas, and I actually left at 18 to go to the United States Air Force Academy to pursue a college basketball career. That's what drove me up there, and then I obviously found purpose after that while being there and understanding the commitment that was going to come with that of service after I graduated. So left the Air Force Academy and ended up doing 6.5 years of service at a few different locations, spending some time in Colorado after the fact, went down to New Mexico, and then just most recently was over in South Korea. So I spent 8 months in South Korea getting to explore the culture, doing some awesome stuff over there. Got back in May, with the intent to separate from the Air Force. And thanks to Gavin here, he convinced me to come back home so we could join up together and start business here in Austin. And real estate was going to be that venture for us. So he's been doing it for some time. And I just couldn't have been more excited. It was a great opportunity, a great complete 180 pivot to get into something that we could have control over and like make the most out of. So that's where we're at. And super excited to just keep diving into it. So, yeah.
Excellent. Gavin, how about you? Tell me more about your background leading up into this venture into real estate.
Awesome. As Hayden said, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with us. I am Gavin Graham, the younger of the two. I, just like Hayden, grew up, born and raised an Austin native. Similar to Hayden, and I left to go off to the Air Force Academy as well to play football. I figured the opportunity to play, Division I college sports at the same school as Hayden would be an awesome opportunity. But then I ultimately left because I realized that is not what I wanted to do. But I always told my parents, because it was an agreement we had our whole life, that I would never make them pay for an education. So took myself down to Texas State, just 45 minutes south of Austin. Played football down there, enjoyed that whole time. And when I first got out, moved back up to Austin, I figured I'd put my degree to use. So I got a degree in exercise sports science. So I got into the personal training sector because fitness, health, and wellness, that whole scope of life has always been really important to me. And then probably a year into that, I realized I love working out, but I don't necessarily always love training other people. You can't really control their efforts and things of that manner. So as I was kind of navigating, okay, well, what do I want to establish as my career in life? I had some really good people around me that kept dropping the idea of, real estate. And I knew I wanted to eventually own a portfolio of real estate one day in life. And so I figured, everyone keeps telling me you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. I figured, why not? And so it was 3 days in a row that I was training three separate people, and back to back to back days, they all told me, I can see you doing real estate. And the first day I was like, oh, I've thought about it. Second day, I was like, that's odd. So-and-so told me this yesterday. And then on the third day, I finished that session, went into my place, got online, and signed up for courses online. So I took those courses, and then I've never looked back. I've absolutely loved the industry. I got in with probably a few weeks when the market was just absolutely insane, red hot, and then I saw it turn. But it's been a blessing because I've really had to grow my business and build my career with understanding that it takes work versus getting in when the market is hot and everybody's ready to buy a house or sell a house. And it's just kind of like, hey, I got a license, so work with me. So it's truly been a blessing to navigate the market we're in right now. And like Hayden said, the moment I got in, I knew I always wanted him to move back home because we always wanted to work together. But when I quickly realized our sibling chemistry and our dynamic of how we could do something like that together, it was pretty much a daily thing where I'd call him. He's in a completely different time zone over in Korea. So I'd call him early in the morning or late at night, be like, hey, dude, I know you're enjoying yourself over there, and I know the Air Force is cool, but you should probably get out and come back home so we can work together. And I guess I nagged him enough, and here we are.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the story. I've just got to share because there's so much like alignment here. When I got out of school, the first thing I did is I went into the personal training sector as well. I swam in college, loved athletics, moved into it. Was with Lifetime Fitness, and made it about a year and went, this is not going to be the thing that's going to be like take me long term. And ended up, making some different choices, and got into banking and ultimately mortgage for a while. So was knew a lot about the real estate market there for a bit from 2018 to 2020 ish, and yeah, there's some similarities there that I'm like, oh, I know that feeling. I know what that
Yeah.
feels like, and
Sure.
so no, that's cool. So let's kind of talk about where y'all are at today, kind of what the focus is. Obviously, kind of starting to build kind of your business together. What's your role within kind of the business today? What does your day to day look like? Kind of, do you each do very similar things? Do you have different skill sets that you take on different parts of kind of the business? What does that look like for you today, or like which hats are you wearing today?
Sure. So I'd say, so Gavin mentioned it. Our chemistry is really, really good. It's always been, whether that was sports growing up or just like the communication piece that our parents instilled in us. Like we've always been able to like get going and get through things really well together. Right now, since I've been back, it's really just like a really hardcore building phase. We're just going through trying to get our momentum up, working together again because it's been so much time. So we're focusing heavy on social media, content curation, building out the brand and networking, reinstilling some of these relationships that we've had over the years and kind of introducing the idea that, hey, we're back in Austin. We're not the athletes. That's not our identity that we always carried growing up. Like we're actually like professionals and this is the industry that we're in and we want to be able to help you in any way possible. Gavin says it best. He's always talking about how we're not salesmen. We're not here to sell you this home. Like that's not what we want to do, and that's not our intent. Like we want to be information portals to be able to inform you and educate you through the process. And if we can be any sort of help to you in that facet, and or you want us to actually go through and carry out these transactions for you, we're here for you. So it's kind of like building out that identity, working really hard. We have our meetings every Monday. We get on and we make sure that we have our content days that we plan for throughout the week. And then we have our meetings and we go through our calendars together to make sure, hey, we need to be at this one together. Or you take this one north, I take this one south. So it's just like, again, finding that rhythm and that momentum. And then we've got some couple other ventures that we're working on to stay involved with communities that we've been so like protected and cared for by. Mine is the military, and then both of ours is athletics. So finding a way to stay involved with that. We're always brainstorming, trying to be those entrepreneur, innovative creators that Austin just curates and fosters. So it's kind of where we're at right now. Gavin, if you have anything else, but
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Hayden touched on, a big building phase. I think when it comes to a business, you can take multiple different approaches to it. I think the one we've taken is building a really solid foundation. So, like Hayden said, immersing ourselves within the Austin community, both being former athletes, whether that's a run club, community workouts, whatever it is, or going to sit down and have coffee or lunch with people just to foster those relationships. And then kind of taking the approach of knowing what our strengths and weaknesses are, but also kind of using this time to test the waters. Like, hey, how does this work for us? Okay, that worked really good. Let's run with it. Let's implement it. We tried this one, not so much. Well, let's not beat our heads against the wall. Like, let's pivot and let's do something that we know is going to be more constructive. So the chemistry we have has obviously been great and been able to aid in that. And I can speak on it from being in the industry without him. Again, a lot of people do it by themselves, or I won't necessarily say solely by themselves. Most people are tied to a brokerage. So there's ultimately some team aspect, but there's nothing like working with your siblings. So from the moment he got in, even though he was a brand new agent, just like I was a year and a half ago, just simply having your brother who is like a built-in lifetime accountability person, where, yeah, you hop on the Monday morning Zoom calls, you go over stuff, and your week is so much more structured because it's not just you planning stuff out, but it's somebody else who can complement the areas where you're like, okay, I know I need to do this, but this isn't necessarily maybe my strongest suit. So, oh, it works out perfect because that is yours. So it's been super nice. And like many entrepreneurs or business owners, whatever it is, you kind of have to wear a whole bunch of hats at the start. And so it's just like a revolving hat that you put on each day. And you switch it midday, you switch it each week, whatever it may be. But yeah, once we get that foundation laid and we build out the systems, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love it. With that, knowing that you have to wear so many different hats as you're in this building phase, things like that. Do you have any kind of role or hat that you're wearing today that just isn't your favorite? As soon as you can have somebody else that you can give that to, like it's the first one to go. Do you have like one or two that stand out from that standpoint?
Oh
I
yeah.
know Gavin has one. So
For me personally, I always joke and say I would have thrived in the 80s because I'm good with the basics of technology, but it's not like I'm sitting down. I don't know how to code. I don't know all that stuff. Like I spent my whole life outside playing sports. I mean, that's not saying that those that do that aren't good at all the tech stuff as well. But yeah, the moment we build this business to a certain level where I said we can outsource some of the daily tasks and buy our time back to then focus on the big things. Yeah, that'll be the tech, the social media stuff. We'll still be a part of it, but having somebody, I guess, manage it and run it, all that stuff. Yeah, that's what I think about often.
I'll be like a little bit slower to get rid of the social media, like curation, outsource it. But because I actually find genuine enjoyment in social media curation, I kind of started with like some fashion stuff a while back, and then it led to like lifestyle vlogging type situation. And now it's opened a new box and door for me in the real estate content curation, and it's been so much fun. But also, it is extremely time consuming because we are on a strict content schedule. We've committed ourselves to posting six times a week, along with, in addition to stories and open house posts and stuff like that. So we want to keep our content flowing and busy, but also informative. So every day in some way, shape, or form, you're kind of dealing with that content curation and social media side of things. And we can only get further into it if we go to start putting up our YouTube content that we're creating, or TikTok and stuff like that. So I agree completely with Gavin. As soon as we can get this thing like rocking and rolling, find a consistent schedule, and then finding somebody that matches our brand and our idea and our vision, then yeah, that'd probably be one of the few that we could like kick out, outsource a little bit.
Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about, who primarily you serve in the marketplace. Do you have kind of a niche that you go after at this point? Are you primarily buy side, sell side? Do you have a preference there? Tell me a little bit about, like, if you're looking for the best clients to work with, kind of what does that look like?
So I guess I'll start.
Yeah, you.
I would say it's one of those where the ultimate goal within real estate, at least for myself, would be primarily heavy on listings. And while obviously still working with the buying side, but there's the adage in real estate, list to last. Say you have 10 buyers as clients, that's phenomenal, but that's 10 different groups or individuals that you have to run around with to show properties or do this stuff. Where if you have numerous listings, so you have 10 listings, once you get the paperwork done, you get everything up, then you're working on marketing that listing. And while you're doing that, you're also having an influx of people coming to you. So while you have business out there, you're also acquiring more business. So it's kind of like it's a more efficient way of doing business. And then I would say some people may not necessarily aspire to be in the luxury space, but I've always wanted to be in the luxury space while still working with all price tags. I could be 5, 10 years into my career and we could be one of the top luxury agents in Austin. But if somebody came to me and said, hey, I need to buy a $300,000 starter home, I'd be just as excited to work with them as well, because the element of buying a home, owning a home, which ultimately is like owning a piece of this earth, don't think you can really amplify and put into words enough for somebody of how important that is, and that really like how cool that is to wrap your mind around the fact that you own something like that. So the luxury space for sure is somewhere I want to go, but really be able to work with all walks of life when it comes to real estate.
Perfect. I really don't have too much to add to that, other than the fact that to reemphasize and pound the idea of like our brand, like the Graham Brothers, we don't want to stick to one specific niche and just that be it, right? We want to be like a team a duo for like the people of Austin. There's so many people across Austin that have helped us over the years and have watched us grow and provided tools and resources for our success to turn us and build us into who we are today. And so I don't care who you are, whether you're buying that $250,000 house or you're buying that $15.5 million house. Like, we want to be here for you. We want to help you. We want you to understand the process, and we want to build a relationship. It's not just a transaction. There's so many real estate agents and brokerages and people in the industry that just focus on the transaction. And that's just not the ideal highlight of it all. There's so much more that could come from real estate, and that's asset acquisitions, portfolio diversification for people, and then also just fostering and creating like abundance of relationships over the city that will come back, and you guys can have great relationships for the rest of the time. So it's such an exciting space. I just have so much, and I think I finally found the thing I've been looking for so long, that passion that lights me up every day, because I haven't had that. So I'm like just stoked.
I love it. So how, at this particular moment in time, why do your clients choose you? How do you differentiate yourselves today against the, you know, vast number of folks that have gotten into the real estate industry over the last, you know, number of years? Why do your clients choose you?
Yeah.
I would say, for starters, I think I've really learned since I got into real estate the uniqueness of now meeting somebody in Austin that's born and raised in Austin. And so you can tackle it from, again, multiple approaches, because you could make your unique marketing position as, oh, I relocated here 4 or 5 years ago, so I can relate to all of that are relocating here. So you could have a mutual standpoint when it comes to that. But then also being an Austin native, it's like, yeah, I've been here since I was born. I've seen the changes. I've seen the growth. I've seen what this area used to be and what it is now. So I can kind of give you the history and the background, while also kind of being, I followed the trends, so I can see the trends of where things are going. And then on addition to that, having grown up here, the network and connections we have and the reputations we've been able to build. Thankfully, our parents did a great job raising us. I would say I may be biased, but
Shout out, mom and dad.
yeah, we've managed to foster really good relationships with people. And so we have people that can testify for our character, and the fact that, again, like Hayden said, this isn't a transaction-based thing for us, but the desire to build relationships with people and help people accomplish something that's, you know, ultimately one of the American dreams. And so helping people accomplish that, doing right by other people, and then knowing that they can always call on us for help or anything, whether it's a week after a transaction, a year, 10 years, whatever it may be. I look forward to the time, not to speed up time in my life, but, you know, when somebody I help buy a house that maybe I grew up with in college, and then down the road, I'm helping their kid buy their first home, things of that nature. So just building those relationships and knowing that we genuinely care about people and not just the transaction.
That's perfect. And I would also add to that, like, relatability. So different industries that we're coming from, whether that's the college athletics piece or like taking academics extremely seriously, or the military piece, community health and wellness and fitness, all the things we dive into. I think like having the two of us working together, we're always going to be involved in every transaction we do. So it's basically two of us working for that one person. And there's so much relatability and ways to connect to people that it just makes it really easy to just foster a relationship and just care. Because everything we do is just, it really like ties back together for Austin really well. So
Very cool. I'm curious, you know, especially today. Today's environment is clearly very different than it was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. Interest rates are different. Home buying is a little bit different than it was before. How have you kind of navigated marketing and selling now, with kind of how the market is, how the consumer behavior is? What have you found to be successful? What things have you had to change? Gavin, this is probably more for you, given kind of you've been in it for about 2 years or so. But how have you navigated the waters when it comes to really marketing and selling in a completely different environment than we've been in for a while?
Yeah, the environment is totally different, and I would say the two biggest things to focus on would be the educational piece and then setting expectations. So, for example, if you're going to list somebody's property, you need to educate them on one, what the market is and what it's kind of dictating. Because a lot of people, if they contemplated selling when the market was red hot, and their home was at its absolute peak, and then all of a sudden it started to dip a little bit, so they're like, okay, I'll wait. And now they're like, well, I actually need to sell. You need to educate them that, hey, I understand maybe a year and a half ago this is what you wanted to sell your house for, but as emotionally tied you are to this property, you have to think from a logistics and realistic standpoint. And obviously saying that in a very polite way, especially if somebody's been in a house for 20 or 30 years, like they probably have a lot of fond memories that they've established in that home. So educating them on the process and then tying that into setting expectations. Because if you go into a listing appointment and you're trying to get a listing and somebody's like, hey, I want to list my home for this, and you know that that's going to be way overpriced, but you don't set those expectations for them and say, hey, well, this is what the market's dictating, but you let them go with what they want to go with just to simply get the listing. Well, that's not going to do anything for you, because then you're going to put a sign in the yard and the house is just going to sit there. So it's cool to have a listing. Someone may call you and they may be interested in something else, but at the end of the day, if a house is just sitting on the market, it's not doing anything for you and it's not doing anything for your client. Ultimately, it's probably going to frustrate them. So tackling the market with education and setting expectations, and then also having to educate your clients on the best opportunities right now. If they're not looking to be necessarily in the heart of Austin, but they're okay with being maybe a little bit outside, 20 or 30 minutes north, south, east, or west, say, hey, let's look at some new construction. Because one, you're going to get into a home that you're not going to have to put money into to get it up to maybe the standard or quality you want. And at the same time, because the market is what it is, you're going to be able to capitalize on builders incentives, whether that's buying your rate down, covering closing costs, things like that. So it's just educating your clients on what the current climate is.
Beautiful. So where do you see things going in the next 3 to 5 years? Like when you look at your vision, you've mentioned a few times you got vision for kind of where things are headed, things like that. What does the next 3 to 5 years look like for this business?
You want to start, Hayden?
Yeah. So let's see. How can I want to remain passionate about something I do for a really long time, right? And I don't want it to be a season. So this is the industry where we can continue to build and grow and just like expand the network. And I think between Gavin and I, we've always had our dreams and visions of what we want, where we want to live together, how we want to expand our business. And hopefully we can have multiple things running here in Austin that actually can go nationwide to be involved in communities. We eventually want to start nonprofits and everything like that. So I think real estate asset acquisition for us, we want to own a bunch of properties and stuff around the area, whether that's in Austin or outside of Austin. And so I think this is a huge staple and starting point, starting pad for us to actually start building out our dream, because we've been so separated for 10 years now and we're finally back together so we can start creating this journey that we've had on pieces of paper and text messages and emails. And so it's like, it almost feels like the dream is actually starting and coming true. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to piggyback off what Hayden said, kind of the dream we've always had, what we wanted to do. In 3 to 5 years from now, some people may say that seems like a long time from now, but at the same time, time goes quick, especially when you're doing something you enjoy. And I think it's safe to say we both really enjoy doing real estate and working together. So 3 to 5 years could come up on you real quick. And, 3 to 5 years from now, where do I want to see the business? I want us, and I firmly believe that we can be in a position where it's kind of a association. When you think Austin real estate, you think about the Graham brothers, or you think about the Graham brothers, you think about Austin real estate. And from a production standpoint, but also from a positive reputation, where somebody, if you mentioned, hey, the Graham brothers or real estate, they're going to say, oh, I worked with them and it was, just the best experience ever. And now I have a genuine relationship with them. Our families are friends, or whatever it may be. Hayden's married. I'm not married. So when I say families, he's probably going to be the first one to have a family. But, the Graham brothers, we have a great relationships with people. And so it kind of becomes synonymous, where when you think Austin real estate, you think Graham brothers and vice versa, and just continue to have a positive impact within the community.
I was actually, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, but like I was just listening to Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's like my guy. He's my inspiration for athletics, life, like RIP to one of my goats. But I was talking to him or listening to him talk the other day, and it was just like such a humbling reminder that it was just like, you're going to wake up and you might not see like a quantifiable change in what you're doing, but it's the consistency over motivation every single day that's going to get you down the line to your dreams in that 3 to 5 year range, to where it's like, just keep going, keep that mindset of keep going and the consistency. And it's just like, I know Gavin and I will continue to build accountability coaches, but we want to be the best people. We want to be the best version of ourselves for the people, to have that credibility, and for people to understand like this is an experience that they want to be a part of. So yeah, it's just anything Kobe says, like I'm here for it. So
That's awesome. That really is. Well, I do want to be respectful of time. I know we've kind of been just having a phenomenal conversation here, so I want to like move into a couple rapid fire questions to kind of start wrapping this up. Kind of pull out just some additional nuggets of wisdom for the audience. Both of you answer each of these. We'll go kind of top head answer for each of them. 4 of them in total. First one: when you look at your journey so far, not just through kind of this real estate journey, but through athletics, through Air Force, through kind of everything that you've been through in life, what would you say for you is your key to success?
keeping an open mind and seeking adventure. So opportunities come, and embracing failure, because opportunities come when you like take the risk to step out into something, and understanding that without failure, you're not necessarily going to grow. So like, to me, if you're not failing, you're not necessarily trying. So like getting out there, seeking adventure, and then being okay with getting that setback and learning from it to move forward.
Excellent.
I would definitely say discipline. And I feel like that's a very generic answer to give, but people always talk, oh, I'm so motivated to do this. Or they watch a video and they are ready to run through a wall at 2 a.m. because they just watched the greatest YouTube motivational video ever. But ultimately, you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to be like, wow, that video kind of faded on me. I don't quite feel as motivated. But understanding that truly every single day that you wake up, it's really a blessing, because there's some people that go to bed at night and then they wake up, they don't wake up the next day. So just having the outlook that regardless of the chaos that may be going on in the world or what's projected out there, that every single day is a blessing, and that there's never been a better time in the history of mankind to be great, because we have more resources at our disposal now than we've ever had.
I love that. How about a piece of advice that you would give to other entrepreneurs out there?
I'd say get started. Like, just do it. Everybody has ideas and everybody has visions, but 99% of the time it stays in that lane. So when you do have something that you want to do, and you do have this great shower idea, or when you're in the middle of like 3 a.m., you wake up and you got this beautiful envision of what you want to be, wake up and do it. Just take the first step to put something on paper and to reach out to somebody and start creating that product that you're going to, product or resource, and just do it. Like, be the 1% that actually takes the step and your life can change.
That was a good answer. You can repeat the question one more time?
Piece of advice for other entrepreneurs.
Focus on you, especially in today's society, with social media and stuff like that. It's so easy to look at it and be like, wow, this person's my age and they're doing this or they're living this sort of lifestyle. But just focus on you, stay true to yourself, stay true to your passion, your mission. And if you don't quit, eventually it's going to work out. So focusing on yourself and staying in your own lane.
Fantastic. Book recommendations. Any books that you're currently reading or read most recently that you would recommend to the audience? And it doesn't have to be business related. Anything that you'd recommend.
Hayden, you have any?
Gav, you want to, Gavin's been on this huge journey of reading recently, so like he's actually been pushing Rex to me. But like,
yeah, I'm a big biography or autobiography person. I've always been very fascinated in like learning and studying other people, especially those that make it from unorthodox fashion. So I'd say the Steve Jobs biography was really good. And then my all-time favorite book is The Undisputed Truth. It's the biography of Mike Tyson. And I know a lot of people, maybe from multiple generations, they really recognize him and think of him as just the heavyweight champ that was an absolute terror in the ring. But if somebody were to really take the time to, I guess, update their image of who he is and what he's done in life, and the incredible journey he's been through from the time he was born to now, that book will give you a really good glimpse at it. And he's honestly one of my inspirations, and I manifest every day that I'll have a functioning, like, genuine relationship with him and do business with him one day, because he's helped me in a lot of ways and he doesn't even know I exist.
Yeah, I got two. And so I'd say this is super random. It's going to be off the wall, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is like one of my go-to people. I can kind of nerd out on anything astrophysics. So like on the most dummied down level ever. So like astrophysics for dummies, like I will definitely like read that. And then also Breath, which is a book I think I ended up getting for you, Gavin, or Breathe.
Oh, Breathe, the new science to a
Yeah,
lost
and
art.
so like
Great
I'm
book.
on this holistic, the very beginning of like a holistic like self-understanding journey. And so I feel like breath work is obviously one of the key components to like calming and soothing everything to get everything inside right so you can be the best version of your outside. So I'd say those two.
I love it. My list just keeps growing and growing of like great books to read. I just don't have enough time to get them all in. But
Yeah,
these
not
will
if you're
some of
interviewing
these will definitely
120
be
people.
making it. No, no, unfortunately not. So the final rapid fire question, then we'll jump into kind of where we can go for more information and finish out with one specific question. But this one's just kind of fun. If you could choose just one area in the business today that you could take a little bit of magic dust and you could sprinkle it all over and wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it is today, where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna have to think, Hayden. You got it.
Hold up. So magic dust over one area of any part of business.
Any part of your business, where would you, and you only get to choose one spot. You can't put it on a
Yeah,
bunch of them. You got to choose one spot in your business where you can put a little bit of magic dust and it'll be 10 times better when you wake up tomorrow. Where
I
would
got
you
mine.
choose to put it?
go ahead.
Marketing. The marketing, and reason being is because yes, while you're not a, I don't consider myself a salesperson because it's educating people, but it's you throughout the process of educating people, it's a certain element of selling yourself and selling your product, why somebody would want to work with you. And there's, if you can market in this world, you can really sell anything. You can sell ice to a polar bear. So the art of marketing is one of the most precious and valuable skills you can have in any industry. So I'd say marketing.
I'm gonna agree. I know it's probably boring, but like that's honestly facts because like we can do everything else and like it'd be a little bit easier if like the reach was there and you just had that like constant stream of like quality marketing to get your stuff out there because we know who we are, but like we want the world to know who we are too, so that they can trust and believe in what we do and the process and the products that we bring to the table. So yeah, I agree.
Marketing's a phenomenal answer. It's I always like to just joke about it because it's an area I've had to do a massive amount of learning on. There's just so many aspects to it today because you can it's so much more than there even was 20 years ago. That it's not just a one-stop shop. I've got it all figured out. So that's a great place to put a little bit extra magic.
Sure. We're doubling down here today, clearly. So we both want.
Yeah, no kidding. So, for those that are watching that want a little bit more information, that want to keep up with the amazing work that y'all are doing, that want to, connect with you, reach out to you, all that kind of stuff, where can we advise them to go for more information?
Absolutely. So we just started our collective Instagram page together. It's Graham Brothers at Graham Brothers. So that's gonna consist of our real estate content, and then we actually do like a weekly Austin to do as well. So whether that's like a coffee shop or a restaurant or an activity around Austin, we're gonna highlight those things and make sure that not only we're going to inform you about the housing market and keep you up to date, but also like when you're coming to Austin to visit, like we've got a plethora of things for you to do when you come. So that's where you can find us. Launched our website at grandbrothers.com as well, so that's going to be our real estate focused website. And yeah, those are the two best areas you can find us right now.
Perfect. Got those written down. For those that are watching, I will put it in the video description below. So make sure you go click the links, give them a follow on Instagram, send them a DM, say, hey, saw you on the Business Spotlight. Great conversation. Excited to follow all that kind of stuff. It's always fun to make connections out of these things, especially with us being focused here in Central Texas. So for all of you watching, please make sure you go take some time to do that here. So we'll finish out with this final question that I always love to end these conversations on. And that is simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
The pursuit of opportunity, like there's so much available to everyone. And we have so many resources at hand that past generations didn't have. And so I think like maximizing our knowledge, reach, and understanding of all of that, and just taking advantage of what we have in front of us that so many people don't do. So like it's super inspiring to learn something new every single day and then put it to use and put it into practice, and just being willing to learn and to open up like Pandora's box and just keep growing in any way you can. 1% better every day.
Love it.
Similar to Hayden, but I would kind of say one of the things I tell myself in the approach I take, which obviously I know that there's certain things I do know in life, but I kind of wake up every day with this mindset of I know nothing. So, and I want to learn as much as I can, because I think you could spend every waking moment of your life constantly consuming information and knowledge, but at the end of the day, you could turn a corner and realize, wow, I know absolutely nothing, because there's just an abundance of information, whether it's past information, present stuff, or things in the works. So, what inspires me is knowing that there's never something, there's like always something I can learn. And I think that's really cool, because I really enjoy history, and understanding the of like human psychology and why people do what they do. So those are like some big areas that I'm always really interested in learning about.
I love that. That is truly inspiring. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you again for taking the time, and just being willing to share some of this, getting all the conversation out there, just having some fun here this afternoon. So I just want to say thank you again for taking the time.
Yeah, and thank you too. Like we really appreciate the opportunity. You're a super awesome person. So like we'll cross paths, I'm sure, at some point in Austin. So yeah, absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, it was a blast. I've been telling Hayden for a long time I want to start a podcast, so I'll definitely have to reach out to you and pick your brain on, I guess the process of how you went about that, because I really enjoy just conversating with people and learning about their life.